The stress is getting to me. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. If you're new to this show, and I haven't mentioned it yet because I am the most forgetful person you will ever meet in your life, I have a blog that goes along with this show. Every recipe that I show on all of my seasons of Elisa Marie Bakes has a very personal story and usually pretty funny story to go along with it. You can either read that and the recipe is at the bottom, or I have that little button. You can just jump straight to the recipe, no fuss. And anything that you see me bake, my recipe's right there with exactly how I bake it, exactly the steps I use, so that you can recreate it at home for all your loved ones. So I hope you guys are getting ready for Christmas. In my family, we have something that's called the Santa Claus table. And the history behind that is my great grandpa on my dad's side, Grandpa Dink, about this tall, cute little man. We'll put a picture up, he's adorable. Grandpa Dink had this house up on the hill, and all of the family and all the cousins would come to visit at Christmas. And one Christmas they woke up and there was an entire table against the wall, and it was just packed full of sweets. Every sweet you can imagine. Cookies, candies, all of that. And then instead of putting cookies out for Santa, that Santa eats off the table. So one of the staples in my family, my mom, my dad, and my two brothers, is marzipan. Basically, it is a nut flour with powdered sugar and flavoring shaped to look like something. Last year, I sent my parents a bunch of marzipan potatoes rolled in cocoa dust, because I thought that was hilarious. I also did not put who it was from, so they just got random potatoes, which I think is even funnier. Like they couldn't guess who it was from. So what I'm gonna do today is kind of show you guys the base marzipan. Then we're gonna take that marzipan to make apple dumplings with homemade marzipan in the middle. It's a nice little surprise, beautiful little package, very impressive, super easy. We're gonna start with marzipan. No, we're gonna start by preheating your oven to 375.
I love it.
Got it. I have to put Post-it notes on my index card so I remember. The other thing I'm gonna ask you to do is take your middle rack on your oven, put it all the way above your bottom rack. I literally want it as low as it'll go because you're gonna put something tall with puff pastry that's gonna get taller. So let's take that middle rack, put it above that bottom rack, preheat your oven to 375. So I'm going to use my handy food processor again. If you don't have a food processor, if you would rather do it by hand, no problem. It works very easily. It works with a stand mixer as well with a paddle attachment. I just really love this thing. So I'm gonna use the food processor. We're gonna start this with equal parts, 1 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Then we are going to put in 1 1/4 cup, so equal parts, of blanched almond flour. You can buy all kinds of almond flour. For this recipe, I prefer blanched. See how white that is? They've taken off all of the outer shell, they've taken off the skin. It's just the meat of the almond, and they've turned that into a powder for you. Can you make this at home? 100%. Is it faster to run to the grocery store and buy it like this? 100%. Every pastry shop I've ever worked in buys it like this. Don't stress yourself. Just buy it. And that's 1 1/4 cup of blanched almond flour. Now this is something that's not traditional, but I really love it in my marzipan, and especially in this particular recipe. We're gonna use the zest of 1 orange. I mean, I live in California. We literally pick them off the neighbor's yard. Neighbor theft, I steal everything. I'm gonna use a microplane. I recommend you get it, they're not expensive. You replace it about every year just so that it stays sharp, but this is going to zest everything for you. I do it like this so that all of the oils fall directly into what I'm doing, so I don't lose any of those oils. And you're just gonna zest the orange. You're only gonna go to this. If you go any deeper than this, that's that white color, that's called pith. And that's gonna be super sour, and it's not going to be pleasant in any way, shape, or form. So when I say zest a fruit, that's what I mean, is take that very top orange layer off. Don't go all the way down to the white. But we're gonna go ahead and zest this whole orange. Right inside here. And see, it's super fast because you don't want to get any deeper than that. You'll see me use a lot of fruit zests in a lot of my recipes. I think it is the fastest, easiest way to cut through something that's really sweet. You're making a dessert and it's really sweet or The basis of it is sugar. Adding a little lemon zest, a little lime zest, a little orange zest, whatever you like, is gonna kind of cut through that sweetness, so the sweet's not gonna taste as sweet. So that's what I personally prefer. You can leave it out of this recipe, it's not gonna harm anything. We're gonna pop this onto the food processor, put on our lid, and then we are just going to pulse it together. The beautiful thing is my food processor literally says pulse. Oh, it's not even plugged in. First rule of baking, plug in your food processor. Anyway, we're gonna pulse this together. You hear how nice it is when it's plugged in? So now we're gonna add the flavor. It already has almond meal in there, but we're just gonna pop it up a little bit with only a 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. Just gonna add a little pop of that flavor, put it in, pulse it like twice. I did it 3 times. The next thing we're gonna do is add water, just regular tap water. Now, a couple of things about this. I have 2 tablespoons of tap water ready. I may not need both tablespoons. So I'm gonna show you what we're looking for. The other note about this is if you're gonna be making fruit with your marzipan, because this marzipan's gonna come out and you're gonna be able to mold it, and I'll show you. But if you're gonna make, let's say, fruit, you're gonna make oranges out of this marzipan. Take this 2 tablespoons and use food coloring, make it orange. That way it completely combines your dry mixture with the food coloring, and you're not having to add it later and get your hands all weird and the table all weird. No. But we used to do that though. Mom would just like hand us marzipan and just like a bunch of food coloring and be like, go for it. And it's all over the table, it's all over us. I was dyed for 6 weeks because my skin never loses any dye.
I think we just unlocked a core memory.
Maybe we did. Like maybe this is where my hand thing comes from.
This is where it might be coming from.
This is where it's from. I didn't have gloves and we had to take this and mix the color in until it was the right color. And then it's all over your hands and it's Christmas.
Want to get better but don't have the money for therapy? Just do your own YouTube show.
Please, someone contact my therapist. This is great. This is all good. This is fine.
This is a well-adjusted person.
Thank you, Mom. No, actually, I really love my mom. She's great. So we're gonna run the food processor. Just turn it on. We're gonna start with 1 tablespoon of water, because I know for a fact it's gonna need that whole tablespoon. That's not quite right, so we're gonna go ahead and do another 1/2 tablespoon. And you see how this is starting to look like a dough? Let's check it. So what you're looking for is kind of like pie dough. It's gonna look like it's apart, and when you squeeze it, it comes together. That's exactly what you're looking for. So today that took 1.5 teaspoons. Some days it takes 2, some days it takes 2.5. Just be prepared. All right, so let's put this out on the silk pad. Let me put this over here. I like using things with just water because they're still clean.
What was that look on your face?
I don't know, man. We are not kneading this to do anything other than combine it. We're just gonna make it into a log. Some parts of it are a little wetter than others, and as you just kind of press it down, you're gonna be able to pick up all of these extra pieces, and you're gonna feel the wetter parts get dry, drier parts get wet. There's no gluten in here, so you don't have to worry about anything, and that's marzipan. It smells so good. We're gonna take this, we're gonna rest it in the fridge, wrap it in plastic wrap. This is kind of the same idea as pie dough. Because this doesn't have gluten, it doesn't need to rest to stop the gluten from forming, but the rest lets everything hydrate. Once you feel it on your hands, you can feel that it's still a little grainy. That's gonna hydrate into a paste. So we're gonna put this in the fridge for 15 minutes. I'm gonna clear this off and I'll see you in 15. So don't throw your marzipan on the ground. Just grab it casually from the fridge. So it's obviously cold because it just came from the fridge, but it's still pliable. That's what you're looking for. It's absorbed all the moisture. It's ready to go. We're gonna set it aside. Now we're gonna move on to the apple dumpling part. Apple dumplings are not something that we had in our house a lot. They're kind of everywhere in the South. So like they were around, they were potlucks and things like that. I always thought they were elegant and gorgeous, but we didn't really eat them around the house. However, like every show that I loved had apple dumplings on it. Little House on the Prairie had apple dumplings. There's a movie starring Don Knotts called The Apple Dumpling Gang. It's just kind of a silly romp with like all these kids and Don Knotts, and they're trying to like rob people but I don't know. So I tried to watch it with my husband a couple years ago. It doesn't quite hold up on the second watch through. I'm like, man, oh, I love this movie. And he's like, yeah, I watched it. So we are gonna make apple dumplings with our homemade marzipan. I'm gonna be moving a little fast, but I'm gonna be showing you what I'm doing in the meantime. First things first, we're working with apples. Apples turn brown super fast. So what we're gonna do is we're going to make some lemon water to counteract that oxidization, that's what makes it brown. So this is a trick that we use when I used to bake like massive amounts, and we would do like 25 pounds of apples a day. So basically I'm gonna take this lemon, I'm gonna step off and get a knife.
That would be important.
I did forget that step. So you're just gonna take this lemon. It doesn't really matter how you do it. I usually do it like this. You're gonna squeeze all of that juice in there and then throw the lemon in there as well. Now we're just gonna add cold water. And it doesn't matter how much cold water you use. It doesn't matter. You use a whole lemon because we need the acidity, but just put some water in there. We are now gonna take our apples. We've got 4. We're using Gala apples today, but any firmer apple for baking is gonna work. Don't use Red Delicious. Granny Smith will keep a lot of its texture, so I don't tend to use it in this recipe, but you're more than welcome to use a Granny Smith if you like to keep all that texture. I'm gonna put my gloves on because we're gonna do some work. First thing we're gonna do is core it, then we're gonna peel it, then we're gonna put it in the acid water. This is an apple corer. I just bought this at my local store. What you do is you put this around the stem. It's got jagged teeth that are gonna cut into your apple and just start twisting it around. Pushing deep, pulls the core right out. There's a little bit of seed left in here because it's not an exact science. You can always go back in and get that little bit of seed out. Then we're just gonna peel it. This is just an extra step to make it a little more elegant. If you wanna bake it with the peel on, nobody says that you can't. Go ahead and do that. This is just one of those pastry chef steps that elevates your baked good. With or without the peel, doesn't matter. Pop it in, your acid water. Move on to the next one. Again, we're gonna take this. I'm gonna do it this way because I feel more comfortable doing that. Start spinning it, it's gonna cut right in. Take that core right out, and you're gonna peel it. The other thing you kind of wanna look out for, if it's really bumpy on the bottom and it doesn't sit flat, just cut that bottom off so it does sit flat. Okay, so you might not be crazy like me.
No one is.
No one is, but I like to save my apple scraps because I like to make apple scrap jelly, which is basically an apple jelly, but you just make it out of all of this stuff and it has this beautiful color. It's this whole thing. So I'm just gonna set this over here for me.
I'm Elisa. I use every inch of what I bake.
Yeah. Food waste is a concern for me. So we got the apples dipped in the lemon water. You want to take them out, shake them off, and let's start straining them with my cute little strawberry strainer so that as much moisture out of the middle can come out as possible. So we're gonna let those apples drain while we finish everything else. You can throw away this water, unless you like to drink like lemony weird apple water. I don't know what you do in your spare time. All right, let's just clean off our surface a little bit. We are almost done. So the next thing we're gonna work with, I'm gonna actually take a little sip of water real quick. The next thing we're gonna work with is puff pastry. Oh!
The first unassisted basket that Elisa Marie bakes is.
Told you I've been practicing. Next, we're gonna work with puff pastry. Now you can make your own puff pastry. You can always make your own puff pastry. If I've got time and I'm doing something really fancy for Christmas or holiday, I'll make puff pastry. But today I'm trying to make a fast, elegant dessert. We're gonna buy store-bought. The only thing I ask is if you're gonna buy store-bought already made puff pastry, look for all butter pastry. It's gonna taste better, it's gonna flake better, it's gonna give you a better product. I'm gonna clear off a little bit of space. In the blog, I will put the brand that I purchase myself. I don't know where you live, but it's readily available out here and it's all butter and I really like the flavor and I like how it works. The key with puff pastry is it's a laminated dough. It may look this thick, but you've got 15 layers or however many of dough, butter, dough, butter, dough, butter, dough, butter. We don't want to lose any of that lamination. If it gets hot, if it gets sticky, throw it back in the fridge. Stop working with it because you're gonna lose your layers. We're gonna work with it right now and see how it goes. This is usually how puff pastry comes. This specific brand wraps it in plastic wrap. So this is actually, it comes folded into fours, so you're just gonna take it apart, watch for parchment, and then unfold it, watch for parchment. And this is puff pastry. We don't want to add too much flour, so we're going to add the flour, push it off. Right now it feels cold, it's ready to go, it's not sticking. We aren't gonna do a lot to this because it's already in a rectangle shape, which is what we want. And you also don't want to overwork puff pastry. We just want to kind of get the folds out of it and make a big old rectangle. The first thing we're going to do is catch our rolling pin. We are going to cut out, because we've got 4 apples, we need 8 of these. This is a 100% optional step, but it just kind of adds that little bit of professionalism, you know? That's 8, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, it's 9. We're just gonna cut that part off and use it for something else. Again, you're just trying to make a rectangle, and we're gonna cut this into 4s. Doesn't have to be perfect. Cut that in half, cut this in half. We are gonna work with 1 at a time. The other 3 are gonna go right in the fridge to stay cold. All right, so what I'm doing now looks kind of crazy. I'm drying off the apples. That's because moisture in puff pastry is your enemy. All that moisture from the water with the lemon, we want to remove that. We're now going to just take some marzipan and we're just going to pop it in there. And you can just fill this all the way to the top. This is going to create a beautiful sauce for it. Put the apple right in the middle. Now we're going to do an egg wash. My favorite way to do egg wash is literally an egg with just a touch of cream. This is heavy cream. I particularly like this for puff pastry because it adds browning. So we are going to put it on the outside as well as on the inside to help everything stick. Whisking that together till it all looks basically one color. And I'm going to take a brush. We're going to do all 4 sides. We're going to do it generously to make sure that it sticks. Now this is where it's going to get fancy. Take one corner, put it in the middle. Take the next corner, put it in the middle. Do that all the way around. See these and see how they're open? You want no open spaces. Pinch that all together. You're gonna take the first one, push it in, seal off that edge. Push this in, seal off that edge. Egg white, push that in, seal off that edge. Now grab 2 leaves, take a little pastry brush, pop it right on there. This also helps seal the top. Check for any spots that are sticking. And this is already starting to heat up, so we're gonna get this in the fridge right now. And that's an apple dumpling. We have 3 more to do. And I'm just gonna kind of do them pretty quick. We've got our nice cold puff pastry. Pop that in the middle, fold it in. You see how much faster it is when we got our prep work done? Seal off all your ends. Then we're gonna turn it all to one side so that all of our little points are facing the same way. Grab our leaves, do a little egg wash, put them on top. That's also gonna help. Seal it. Put this in the fridge. So here they are. We're gonna put the leaves on that last one. Put these in your coldest fridge, because I have 3 fridges because I'm a baker and I'm insane. Put it in your coldest fridge for 20 minutes. In that 20 minutes, I'm gonna let these get nice and cold. I'm gonna clean all this mess up. We're gonna egg wash them, bake them, and that's it. That's the whole recipe, and I can't wait for you to see the finale. What you're looking for is for them to be firm again, and these are. Because I'm working with all butter pastry, it will come to room temperature quickly, so I'm going to be egg washing them quickly. We're using that same mixture of cream and egg, and you're just gonna kind of go all over here. This is what's gonna help it stick together as well as brown. By the time that it gets golden brown without an egg wash, it's gonna be pretty baked. So we're just kind of helping it along a little bit. This is the last step you do before you put it in the oven. It's not going to do you any good to egg wash this, put it in the fridge, and then bake it. Now we're going to put it in the oven for at least 35 minutes till it's golden brown on the outside, and you'll see it puff up. And I'll see you back here. Oh God. Oh God. Imagine walking up to your dinner table with these. Right? These are, without a doubt, a super simple, unbelievably delicious dessert. One trip to the grocery store, bam, it's done. You see all these layers? That's that lamination that's coming back through. I am gonna dig in because I love these things. Okay, let's do this way. You hear that crispness? Look at that. That's so good. It's got all these flaky layers. You see all your little flaky layers right here? We worked hard to keep. You got your baked apple. That's your marzipan right in the middle. That's created kind of a sauce on the side. If you could smell this right now, you would be dying. It smells so good. So you can serve these cold, room temperature, whatever, but the magic of these is keep them in the fridge. As everybody's winding down the dinner and you're moving the dinner plates, just throw them in the oven real quick because it's just beautiful when it's warm. Oh, oh yeah. Elevated, elegant, pastry chef level dessert. That marzipan gives the apple just this little bit of almond flavor, and the steam brings in that orange that just cuts through everything. It's a nice dessert that just like rounds out a very good meal. Now, traditionally, this is always served with cream. So I have a little cream ready to go, as always. This is so yummy. This is a big bite for me, but I'm really excited. This is a winner. It looks impressive, it tastes impressive, put a little cream on it. I am here for this dessert. It's so good. Apple dumplings with homemade marzipan. Try it out, you're gonna absolutely love it. Put it on your Santa Claus table. An amazing, delicious Christmas dinner dessert right here. Like, subscribe, save. Leave me a comment with a picture when you've done it, and I'll post it on my Instagram. That's a true story. I'll have all the additional tips and tricks and anything you need to know on my blog, so be sure to check it out. Thanks, guys.
All right, get back to it.
Yes, thank you.